You're listening to the Washington State Real Estate Investing Podcast. This episode brought to you by the Easy Home Buyer, helping people who want to simplify and expedite the home selling process in the greater Spokane and Coeur d'Alene area. For more information and to receive a fair, no-obligation cash offer that is fast and free, go to theeasyhomebuyer.com and fill out the form today. And by FlexiSpot, the maker of ergonomic furniture. If you're looking for a new desk, look no further than the E7 standing desk. With a weight limit of 350 pounds and adjustable height from 24 inches to 53 inches, it's the perfect desk for the home office. Save $20 now with an offer code WSE720 at checkout. G'day everyone, I'm your host Jeff Udick, back with another great episode here on the Washington State Real Estate Investing Podcast. In this episode, I chat with Jeremy Kitchen, a real estate investor in the Spokane area, and how he uses his HELOC to fund his real estate acquisitions. For those of you wondering what my wife and I have been up to, seeing we've done rehabbing and are now at 100% occupancy, well, we've been sitting around relaxing and sipping great wine. Okay, half that statement is true, and I'll let you guess which part. No, really, we took some time to travel, which we love to do, and of course, have been working on two things in our real estate world. First, we are in the middle of refining out of a property. Once that's complete, I'll share those numbers and the idea behind the BRRRR strategy, also known as buy, rehab, rent, refi, repeat. Of course, not every property follows that formula exactly, and I'll be talking more about this property in detail in future episodes, so stay tuned for that. And that brings me to this week's Investor's Highlight, which goes well with this week's episode, and that is, don't underestimate the power of a HELOC or a home equity line of credit. A HELOC is simply a way to access the equity in a piece of property and allow you to use that pent-up money, usually by only paying the interest on the money when you are using it. So for example, let's say you bought a house for $350,000 in 2019. You have to put 20% down, so your loan is at $280,000. It's now 2022 and you have made 3 years worth of payments towards the loan. And at the same time, some places here in Washington State, your home is now valued at $550,000, thanks to incredible appreciation over the last 3 years. So now you have, let's say, a $270,000 loan after 3 years of payments and a $550,000 house. In between the loan that you have and the new value is a difference of $280,000. In my world, as an active investor, that is pent-up money that is waiting to be deployed to grow my real estate investments. You can find some HELOCs out there that with loans, you can have up to 90% value of your house. So your home is worth $550,000. 90% of that is $495,000 minus your mortgage of $270,000, and you could take out a HELOC of roughly $225,000. That's enough to probably purchase your next property. Now, HELOCs get a bad rap sometimes, and mostly because I believe people use them the wrong way. If we go back to what Robert Kiyosaki talks about in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and the difference between a liability and an asset, if we use our HELOC on liabilities, say a new car, a new jet ski, or maybe that dream RV, or even something smaller like a new TV. In other words, something that does not make us money and depreciates in value, then you'll find yourself in trouble quickly. A liability is everything that depreciates in value over time. However, if you use your HELOC to buy an asset, something that appreciates in value over time, then you can pay off your HELOC and have a new asset that makes you money. I remember that blowing my mind as I, like many others you still hear today, tell you that their home is their largest asset, except an asset makes you money. Your home costs you money every single month in mortgage payments, in maintenance, in landscaping, and the list goes on. A house is not an asset. It's not actively making you money, unless, that is, if you have a HELOC and you're using the equity you have in your house to make your money via real estate. A HELOC allows you to turn your house, a liability, into an asset that makes you money. My wife and I are big believers in the HELOC. as it is what has allowed us to continue to grow our real estate investment. We took out a HELOC on our first home we owned that allowed us to start flipping homes. We sold that home and moved into a house that we are in today. Of course, we always buy fixer-uppers, so as soon as we bought it, we did some repairs, and between the repairs and appreciation of the property, we were able to take out a HELOC on this property. We then used that HELOC to do a full 3-floor renovation of this beautiful 1929 house. We truly love our house, which allowed us to then get a house reappraised and double the size of the HELOC we have. That was 2 years ago. And as I think about it, it might be time to go back and see if we can get even more out of this house. Think about that for a second. Because of the HELOC and some sweat equity, our house allows us to purchase a property, renovate 6 properties this summer, upping our monthly cash flow. We will now refi out of that property we purchased, paying back the HELOC and then some, and we keep on increasing our monthly cash flow. The HELOC really is a hack to starting your real estate empire. So, stop looking at Redfin or Zillow and being excited about how much your house is now worth. It's not worth anything if it's a liability. Figure out how to make it an asset. That brings me to today's guest, Jeremy Kitchen, who, you guessed it, used a HELOC to get started in real estate investing. You might also be interested in episode 5, where I talk with Andre Dombrowski, a loan officer, about HELOCs that his bank allows. I hope you enjoy this episode with Jeremy and using a HELOC to start and grow your real estate business. And with that, on with the show. All right, welcome back to another episode of the Washington State Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm here with investor Jeremy, and we're going to be talking about investing in real estate across the state of Washington. We're going to get to his story here in a little bit, but I'm excited to dig into this. We're going to be talking about equity partnerships, about the mindset of being a real estate investor, and a little bit about Jeremy's just journey in real estate. So Jeremy, welcome to the podcast. Give us a little bit about yourself and your real estate investing journey so far.
Awesome. Well, hey, Jeff, thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it. I'm a local North Idaho guy, so I've lived in Coeur d'Alene my entire life. Being in the Northwest, obviously, I've lived with my family. We had good values when we were younger, so I started working when I was 14 years old.
Wow.
Hard work was just expected in the house, right? My dad definitely has the poor dad mentality. No offense to him, but he's going to unfortunately work until he's dead. Early in my 20s, I had a daughter. So I had my daughter when I was 20 years old. I had a family pretty quick.
Wow.
I ended up getting full custody of my daughter within a year of her being born. So a lot of my 20s was just based on trying to be the best dad I could and trying to figure out how to live life. We ended up moving in with my brother, who lives in Coeur d'Alene. He bought his house in late 2008.
Okay.
During the best time of the Great Recession, obviously. So he got a house in Hawks Nest for $125,000, brand new construction, 3-2.
Wow.
If you ever find any of those deals anymore, let me know.
Yeah, right. Good luck trying to find that.
Right. My whole life, though, I've been working. I've had a background in photography and videography. So one of my lifelong best friends, actually, he pitched to me that we start a real estate photography company.
Okay.
Nick Beveridge, he works on the North Idaho real estate team in Coeur d'Alene in Sandpoint. So we started that, and that was my real first place into investing. I was doing the real estate photography for the team, and I got to work with a bunch of agents who did this for a living. My honest first thought of them was I thought they were incredibly insane.
You don't hear a lot of people that go from photography to real estate investing, but that's a great story.
Yeah, no, I got exposed to it all, and I got a little bit of that bug, same like everybody. I read that Rich Dad Poor Dad book, and kind of away we went. But being in the same room with a whole bunch of investors, it was really mind-opening for me. Again, also insanity at its finest, because these people, I was like, wait, you take distressed houses that are garbage, and you fix them and you sell them. That sounds risky.
Yeah, right.
And at the time, I was working my W-2 job, and I was very comfortable doing that. But on slow days during the photography, I actually worked on Nick's team for his construction company. Okay. So if I didn't have anything going on for construction, I'd just go start flipping houses with them. My coworker at the time, who's now my wife, she was in her first flip.
Okay.
We didn't get together on the job or anything, but definitely I wanted to explore that more and see if there was something there for investing. Pretty cool stuff, obviously. She flipped her property within 6 months and made $30,000.
Wow.
And in my head, I was like, that's more than I've made in an entire year.
You're like, this is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I get it now. Like, this is
Right.
what he's talking about.
There's something that works there. You got to have a little bit of grit and you have to have a little bit of knowledge to get through it, but you can absolutely do this. So shortly after, Sam and I started dating, obviously. We were dating for about 4 months when an opportunity came up to buy a new construction property.
Okay.
This felt risky at the time. This was the most scary thing I've ever done in my life, buying a house with somebody as a literal partnership. Yeah. So we bought it in Rathdrum for $307,000 on an FHA loan. Within 1 year of owning the property, you know what happened in 2020 and 2021. Our equity increased almost 100%.
Wow.
So we went from $307,000. We got it appraised for $527,000 in 1 year.
Unbelievable.
The only thing we did was add a fence. That's the only thing we did.
Did you even paint the fence or just put up a fence?
Nope, we just put up a fence. It's the homeowners association, plain white vinyl, honestly. So
unbelievable.
But we did that, and that gave us kind of a jumping pad to start. With that, we got a HELOC out on our primary residence. I got a HELOC for about $170,000, if I'm not mistaken. And that's been able to fund all my equity partnerships, all my fix and flips, anything going forward with that. So
awesome. And how many deals?
Just trying to keep that.
How many
moving.
Deals have you done, or how many deals do you have going now?
So right now I have 3 going. Okay. I think total done we have about 5 or 6.
Okay. Congrats.
The first thing we did within a week of getting our HELOC was I told everybody, like, I have $170,000. Who wants to borrow it?
I love it. I love it.
We ended up buying a house for a fellow investor. They bought it for $130,000. Okay. So we just took first position lien on it. I charged them 10% annual interest and 0 points. Pretty great deal, actually. Yeah. I didn't know what I was doing at the beginning, and that actually allowed me to get contacted by a hard money lender. And now I work for them and I lend their money out.
Oh, very cool.
So they said, you suck at lending. You should lend our money.
They're saying, you can make a lot more at this than what you just loaned out that money for.
Exactly.
Why don't you come work for us and we'll teach you how you can actually do this.
That's exactly what they did. And they provided me a lot of systems, and we've been doing that. Since then, we've just been using our equity in our house to do equity partnerships. So essentially, with working with the hard money lender, they bought me out of business of that.
Okay.
But that doesn't say I still can't partner with people.
Okay.
So a lot of what we have been doing has been partnerships. My first flip was a 50-50 partnership. This is even before we got our HELOC, but I had $13,000 and I was honestly just trying to put it out in the universe. Like, hey, I want to do a thing. I want to make my money make money.
Yeah. So let's talk about this idea of equity partnership. Could you kind of explain what is an equity partner when we're talking about this in real estate terms? Because I think, it's one of those terms that sometimes I find it hard to explain to others. Mm-hmm. So how do you explain it? How do you tell others, like, what is an equity partnership?
Sure. Well, the partnerships I try to get into, a lot of them are fix and flip. So a lot of them are distressed properties where we can add value.
Okay.
The best way for us to add value is use my money. And this is how we become equity partners. We use my money. We fund the rehab. A lot of my investors, they don't want to make monthly payments on that money I'm lending them. So the other option is, instead of doing a monthly payment and a payback, how about I just give you the money? If it takes 1 year to do your property, that's fine. But at the end of the deal, when you sell it or you refinance it, I get 25%, 50%, 75% of that equity, whatever it is, whatever we agree on.
Okay.
And that just allows us basically to work together and compile our resources and both win.
Now, when you do this, because I think there's so many different ways, and I think this is something that investors, especially investors who are just getting into the business, there are so many ways to set up partnerships. Mm-hmm. When you, in that example, did you fund just the purchase? Did you fund the purchase and the rehab? Have you done it both ways? What are some of the ways that you have made these equity partner deals work?
We've done it both ways, definitely. But the main way we have been doing it has just been funding the rehab.
Oh, just the rehab. Okay.
A lot of the times we get the partners who have the hard money loans intact already. They can go through us sometimes, or they can find their own hard money lenders. If the hard money does not want to fund that rehab, that's where I can come in and I can come and help save the day, right? So if I have $60,000 available in my HELOC and somebody doesn't want to pay monthly payments on that, whenever I do partnerships too, I always put it in the contract, like I will lend X up to X,
Okay.
right? So I'm giving myself a lending limit,
Sure.
so I don't go over that limit. Sometimes that limit's $10,000 and I make 10% equity. That's great because I make my money back and 10% of whatever the deal is.
Right.
Small things, and I try to get those to compile into a bigger rolling snowball.
Yeah. And the way that we've done it is we've done it the opposite, where we will go out and we will have an equity partner that'll purchase the property. And then we use our money for the rehab.
Gotcha.
And then, when we refi out of it, just like you're saying, we pay them the 10% interest on top of whatever it is that we loaned. And there's so many, and I love the idea too. Like you talked about this, there are some equity partners who are going to want the monthly payment, depending on what kind of property it is. I find that most fix and flip equity partners are great, like you said, of saying, hey, look, if it, 10 months, 12 months, whatever we agree upon, don't make any payments. But when you get done, basically that your monthly payments, for lack of a better term, are all due at the sale of the property, right?
Yep, exactly. And that's what we write in our contracts as well. So as soon as you sell, we get paid out of escrow, just like any other thing.
Right.
Make sure our contracts are legit. And again, I do that lending limit just to make sure I'm not overtapping myself on any sort of my partnerships.
And the other thing I like about this is you were talking about, you take a first position lien on the property. So you're having a lawyer, you have a lawyer or a CPA writing up the contract for you and making sure that it's all being done through title.
Yeah, we did on that first one for sure. When we did that first position, everything else I've been taking either second position or just trusting my partner who I've worked with a lot, being like, okay, no position. Obviously you got 60 projects going on right now. This is again, Nick Beveridge, who I'm doing a lot of my partnerships with. So we've been best friends since I've been 6 years old. It's not in his interest to screw me over, and it's not in my interest to screw him over.
You know where he lives.
I know where he lives, exactly. I'm godfather to his kids,
there you
so
go.
He's not going to screw me over.
Yeah. And I think that's another thing for people to point out. I mean, one of our, it's still a property that we own today, but when we were in the process a couple of years ago, where we were buying a lot of stuff in Spokane, same type of thing. Like we bought this house for a 3-bedroom, 1 bath at the time. We turned it into a 3-2, but it was for like $80,000, which you can't find that in Spokane anymore. And it was too good of a deal to pass away. But all of our cash was in 3 other deals at the time. So we went to friends, really good friends of ours, and said, hey, you've got $80,000 to help us purchase this property. You get the first lien. We'll give you the 10%, because that's what we were working with a hard money lender at the time as well. And we were saying, they're going to charge us 10%. We'll give you the 10%. You're our friends. You've got the money sitting in the bank account. And we'll use you as like a hard money lender. And the same thing, because they were really good friends, we still had them take a lien out and went through the whole lawyer thing because they wanted to feel safe about it and they hadn't been into real estate yet. But it works out. I mean, there's money and ways to create equity partners.
Oh yeah. And the thing I like about it too is I'm still relatively new at this. So I've only been doing this just about a year and a half. I'm not great at finding deals yet, but what I am great at is helping other people come up with solutions to their deals.
Oh, I love that.
And so it's kind of a catch-22, obviously. Our HELOC we want to use for buying another property for ourselves.
Right.
But right now we're making a lot of money lending it out to other people.
Yeah, that's great.
So I'm like, do we keep building our portfolio or do we keep building a little bit of wealth?
Yeah.
And it's just kind of, that's the crossroads we're at right now.
And I'm a big fan of the HELOC as well. I mean, that's what we use for all of our properties. And I think like you were saying, there's this really interesting place that we are in right now where you bought a property and within a couple years in the greater, Washington, Pacific Northwest area, Idaho, Washington, these things are appraising insanely over the last 48 months. You have some captured equity in your own home that you could take a HELOC out against, and then you are loaning that money or you're using that money to buy a property or becoming an equity partner with a group of others. There's just, there's so much you can do with that. I love the HELOC product. It's like one of my favorite hacks.
So good.
It's so good.
It feels like I'm robbing the bank, to be honest
I
with
agree
you. Like
with you.
every time I do this, I'm like, I don't know if this is legal, but I told them right when I got it, like I plan on lending this money out and I plan on buying new properties.
Right.
And they said, okay, here's your $170,000.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah. Appreciate it. Let's talk a little bit about the mindset that you, as a real estate investor, as a flipper, as an equity partner, what are some of the key mindset pieces that you think go into doing this job and being in this industry?
Well, honestly, I'm going to give you a little bit of a plug here, Jeff. I went to one of your REIs you spoke at, and you did the Power of Yet or the Power of Mindset. I
Yeah,
think you did.
yeah.
I implemented that immediately when
Awesome.
you talked about
Oh,
that.
thanks, man.
So that's definitely been a thing. Like, I can't do this. How can I do it yet? Right.
Ah, I love it.
And the thing with real estate investors, it's our job to really solve a lot of problems. So if I can't solve a problem, how can I solve that problem?
Yeah.
And even for myself, like, okay, even now that I'm off my W-2 job and I'm working strictly for my hard money lenders, we're having trouble getting approved for houses.
Mm,
But right now, it's like, okay, how do we do that?
right.
So, and it's working backwards from that goal, right? Okay, so we need to be here. This is what we need. This is what we need from that.
I love that. I love that. And that's where I think, especially in real estate, the power of the network,
Mm-hmm.
where you're talking about you're working with different hard money lenders and we want to get this deal done. How do we get it done? There's a way to make it work. Who do
Mm-hmm.
I have in my network? Who can I reach out to? If that's not working, who's the next person in line I can reach out to?
Mm-hmm.
And you keep asking the question until you find a way to solve that problem. Can you maybe talk about how you've done that in maybe one of your flips that you have going now? A place where you're like, okay, this is where we're at. How do I get there? I don't know
Mm-hmm.
this yet. I don't have the funds for this yet, but I'm
Yep.
going to get that done. Can you kind of maybe talk through something?
Right. Some of that equals to the obviously the saying is what you focus on expands, right? So
Mm,
just focusing on how I can be an asset for these people or how we can get the deal done. One of my current projects we're working on, I am just a 25% equity partnership. Again, my partner did not want to make minimum monthly payments on it. He was strapped with all his other projects. He has a track record of making things work, though.
yeah.
So I came in. I'm like, hey, I've got money. Let's make this happen. On this deal, I gave him up to $25,000. I think right now we are in at about 18,000. So
Okay.
he's got a little bit of playroom left. I also said I can come work on this because I've done this for you, and you actually had me do this on your properties, right? So I'm the one ripping out carpets. I'm the one pulling everything, filling the dump trailer. It's good because now I'm not on this payroll, and that's just an added bonus I'm adding for him.
Right.
I did not have to add that at all, but I do want to come from abundance in all this, and I do want to value add to my partnerships.
Ooh, I love
So
that.
however I can do that, if I can do the video work, if I can do, get under the house and put the vapor barrier on, I'll do it. I
Yeah.
don't care.
Free photos for the listing. I mean,
Right, exactly.
I love
I got
that.
all these systems. I know how to do it, so I might as well use
Yeah.
it.
Have you done any partnerships? Because I haven't done this yet, but I really am
Mhm.
interested in doing this because we have some friends who are contractors, electricians. Have you done like an equity partnership where the partnership wasn't in equity, say in cash, but it was in work? So I'll buy the property, but
Mhm.
I go to my friend, the contractor, and say, hey, I'll split the profit on this with you if you do the work. Like, I'm not going to pay you as a contractor. You're in this deal with me now
Mhm.
and you do the work. I'm going to say not for free because you're going to make money when we sell it. Like
Sure.
we'll split that property. Have you done anything like that where the partnership had to do with the skill set that I bring rather than the money I bring to the table?
Yeah. So actually, on that particular deal we're working on right now, I'm a 25% partner, and we hired my father-in-law, who is a general
Okay.
contractor. He's the one doing most of the rehab, all the big boy projects that I can't do.
Right.
Anything you have to be licensed to do,
Sure.
or any kind of
Yeah.
electricity, anything like that. So we got him working on there, and he's actually taken an equity partnership on it.
Very
Their
cool.
plan is just to go around the country in the next coming months in their trailers. So they're just looking for trailer funds right
I
now.
love that. I
Yeah.
love that. So when you sell out of this property,
Mhm.
whatever the agreed upon equity was that he's got in, he gets a piece of that pie as well.
Absolutely.
I love that for putting, and this is where I think it's really important for people, for investors to understand that is there's different ways to bring partners into a
Mhm.
deal. If you have the money, but not the construction background, go find a contractor and they're all really busy, but a busy
Mhm.
contractor who can all of a sudden make 30 or $40,000 because they're in a partnership with you, all of a
The light
sudden
might ding.
finds time.
Ding.
Yeah.
Yeah,
To
yeah.
work on your property.
How much did you say?
Yeah.
Let's make this
Yeah, let's
happen.
make this happen. Let's make this happen. And I just think there's so many ways to make partnerships happen. I mean, that to me is part of the thing that I get excited about in real estate
Oh
is
yeah.
there's so many ways to make things happen.
It is. Like I said, I mean, like, I'm not great at finding deals right now. I'd like to start doing that deal machine, doing the driving around, everything like that. I don't have the time for it right now. other people find deals and they're coming to me saying like, hey, you followed through on everything you've said for every other partner.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to do that on this? And if not, I've got people who can help them as well. So, your network is definitely your net worth. And leverage your time, leverage what you got, and try to make the deals happen.
That's so great. I know you're really into, and I've been following you on Instagram for a while. Talk a little bit about how has social media played into this, and if you're not following Jeremy, we'll make sure there are links in the show notes as well. But of course, you come from a background in that space, so talk a little bit about what you're doing over on Instagram and some of the stuff that you're sharing with people.
Sure. Yeah. So this just happened kind of recently. Within the last couple months, I was really like, I need a social media presence. I'm trying to build my hard money business, and honestly, it's very hard starting from ground zero. Because when I started, I had no network to do this. I had 5 people who could lend for me. I need more than that.
Yeah.
The best way to do that is to get in front of people with content, and if I can provide value and be a face that people know, like, and trust, that's going to send them my way instantly.
I love that.
I've been doing this kind of short form content. Everything's about 1 to 3 minutes typically. I try to write out, so I script every single one of my videos. Okay. And again, I try to provide a little bit of value, provide a little bit of entertainment, see if I can make that all swim together.
Awesome. And so if people want to follow you, where all are you? I know you're on Instagram. That's where I found you and follow you, but are you on are you on other places too?
Yeah, so I just started TikTok. I was so against TikTok for years. I'm a 35-year-old guy. I'm like, I'm never going to go there.
I was exactly the same way. I'm like, I'm not going there. I don't need this.
I'm not doing it. But then I actually catered my account because I honestly thought TikTok was dancing and just like lip syncing and everything. I catered my account to investors and mindset people and people providing content creation value. So that's all I see in my feed now, and that's great. But I was definitely against that TikTok when it first started. I'm over on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram are the main ones I'm on right now.
Awesome. And we'll make sure that there are links to all of that in the show notes so people can reach out to you and find more about you. And is there any other place that if people want to reach out and maybe talk to you about lending or becoming an equity partner or getting in a partnership with you, where else should they go to reach out to you?
Sure. I mean, my email address is quickdealfunding@gmail.com. Can I give out my cell phone number out here?
Absolutely.
All right. 208-704-0320. I got that thing on me all the time. I'm constantly writing and making videos and just trying to be the best business partner and investor I can. I've learned a lot in the last couple of years, and I have a lot left to learn still.
Awesome. And are all of your flips and stuff in Idaho, or do you cross the border over there into Washington, Idaho?
We cross the border. Yep. I've definitely funded some Washington properties. I don't have any Washington stuff going on right now.
Okay.
A lot of my network is in the Coeur d'Alene market, so that's kind of the area I'm focused in. But I'm definitely not opposed to working in Washington. Neither are my lenders. So.
Awesome. And how are things in Coeur d'Alene right now? Still hot as can be?
They're coming down.
Are they? Okay.
They're coming down. Yeah. So, like I said, last year we got our house appraised at $537. Right now, if we were to get the same appraisal, it'd probably be like $420.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we still have that equity, like until they take away that, right? Which I'm going to utilize that HELOC until they say you need to give it back.
Yeah, right. I like that. Yeah, until they take it from my cold hands, I'm going to make money on it.
If they say like, hey, by the way, we're getting rid of this, I'm taking all $170,000 out of that. Yeah, and I'll just make payments on it, and I'll figure something out to do with it. So
I love that. Well, that's
So the market's definitely still hot. It is definitely tapering down. This time of year is definitely slowing down for sure. It's creating a lot more opportunities, though, for investors. So I see a lot of people kind of holding back the floodgates. Like, should we be investing? Should we not? And honestly, the best time you can invest is right now.
Yeah.
Like, right? The best time you can plant a tree is 10 years ago. Second best time is right now.
Yeah, I love that. Well, Jeremy, thank you for taking some time with chatting with us today. We'll make sure that links to everything so you can follow him on all the social medias, get more ideas. If you are looking for an equity partner in your deal, if you're looking for some cash, it's always great to know people who have the funds and know people who have funds to put them in your network as well as you continue your own real estate journey. So,
absolutely.
Jeremy, thank you so much for taking time to chat with us today.
Hey, Jeff, thanks so much. I appreciate it.